Imagine this: one day your wallet is empty, your savings vanish, and everything you once leaned on disappears like smoke. Who would truly stay by your side then, and would happiness still have a place in your life? The shocking opening. Have you ever wondered, if tomorrow all your wealth disappeared, would anyone still sit down with you just to share a cup of tea? It sounds like a cruel joke, but in truth, it's life's most merciless test. At 50, 60, or 70, you've seen it all: people buzzing around you when you succeed, then vanishing the moment you stumble. Money is like a magnet, it pulls in fake relationships and blurs the line between genuine affection and personal gain. Social psychology even has a name for this: pseudo-attachment, when someone's presence in your life isn't about who you are, but what they can take from you. And here's the paradox: the older you get, the easier it becomes to see this. A famous Harvard study on happiness, spanning more than 80 years, shows that happiness and health aren't built on wealth but on the quality of our relationships. The wealthy but lonely often suffer worse health than those with modest incomes but strong social bonds. Think back to a time you were in the hospital. What you longed for wasn't a swelling bank account, but the sound of footsteps entering your room, a warm smile, a hand holding yours. Money can pay hospital bills, but it cannot buy genuine care. And here lies the shocking truth: if happiness doesn't live inside your wallet, then what really keeps you standing? The answer may not feel comfortable, but it's the antidote to the greatest fear of all, the fear of being left alone. Because in the end, those who remain are never the numbers in your account, but the hearts that choose to stay, no matter what. The fear of loneliness. Picture this: you walk into your house at night, the lights are off, no one's waiting, and the silence feels louder than any noise. That silence is the nightmare many people between 50 and 80 quietly carry. It's not death that scares most people at this age, it's the idea of being forgotten, left behind, or replaced when money or strength runs out. Psychologists call it social isolation anxiety. It's that creeping fear that the phone will stop ringing, the visits will fade, and the world will move on without you. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that loneliness in older adults is as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yes, you heard that right, 15. Loneliness literally rewires the brain, making pain feel sharper, memory weaker, and even immunity lower. Your body starts treating isolation like a wound that never heals. And now, let's be honest. Many people in their later years ask themselves, do my kids, my spouse, or even my friends love me for me, or because of what I can still provide? That's the raw, unspoken thought no one wants to say aloud. When you see relationships shift the moment finances change, it's easy to feel like your worth is measured in dollars, not heartbeats. But here's the twist: fear of loneliness often exaggerates reality. The human brain is wired to focus on threats, and at older ages, the threat of being left out looms large. Yet, neuroscience also tells us something hopeful: meaningful connections, even just a few, can completely override this fear. One trusted friend, one neighbor who checks in, one grandchild who listens, can light up the brain's reward system more than luxury vacations or new cars. So yes, the fear is real. But it's also a reminder: if happiness isn't hiding in your wallet, maybe it's waiting in the small, ordinary bonds we often overlook. Because loneliness doesn't just ask, who loves you? It dares you to answer, who do you love enough to reach out to today? Money and happiness. Here's a fun fact: your brain gets bored of money faster than you think. Researchers at Princeton University found that money does increase happiness, but only up to about $75,000 a year. Beyond that, the curve flattens. Translation? Extra cash might buy you a better sofa, but it won't make laughter sound sweeter or hugs feel warmer. Why? Because happiness isn't a shopping cart, it's a nervous system trick. Dopamine, your brain's feel-good chemical, spikes when you get something new, like a bonus check or a fancy gadget. But dopamine is also a diva. It fades fast, leaving you craving the next hit. That's why your excitement about a new phone lasts maybe 2 weeks, while a Sunday dinner with family can glow in your memory for years. In Canada, a long-term study on seniors showed that those who invested time in relationships, hobbies, or volunteering reported higher life satisfaction than those who only focused on financial stability. In fact, many who had enough but not excess often felt freer. They weren't shackled by the anxiety of guarding wealth. Of course, money matters. It pays for medication, keeps the lights on, and gives peace of mind. But confusing comfort with joy is where we trip. Comfort is the chair you sit in, joy is who's sitting across from you. Money can rent companionship, but it cannot purchase authenticity. Here's the kicker: when you chase money as your main source of happiness, your brain eventually treats it like background noise. But when you chase connection, meaning, or even small acts of kindness, your brain floods with oxytocin and serotonin, the real happiness hormones. So, the science is clear: your wallet might buy safety, but your relationships buy happiness. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have that many close people around me, remember, it's never too late to invest. Only this time, the investment isn't in stocks, but in souls. The small moments. Imagine this: you're sitting on a porch, sipping tea, and a grandchild suddenly bursts into laughter at something completely silly, like the dog chasing its own tail. That single sound can fill you up more than a new car in the driveway ever could. Why? Because happiness hides in ordinary, unpolished corners of life. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. The brain quickly adjusts to big changes like buying a house or winning the lottery, but it holds onto emotional imprints of small, meaningful experiences. Think about it: you probably don't remember what you had for dinner 5 years ago, but you remember the warmth of a hug at just the right moment, or the way someone held your hand when you were scared. Scientific studies back this up. In a report published by the Journal of Gerontology, seniors who practiced gratitude for daily micromoments, like sharing meals, morning walks, or simple conversations, reported higher long-term happiness than those who focused on accumulating wealth. It turns out, the brain's reward system lights up more from shared laughter than from financial windfalls. So here's the truth bomb: your wallet can't replay the memory of watching the sunrise with someone you love. Money can't recreate the feeling of a spontaneous joke that leaves everyone gasping for air. And no investment portfolio will ever replace the priceless currency of time spent together. Want to test this? Try writing down 3 small things each night that brought you joy during the day. Maybe it was the smell of coffee, a neighbor waving, or hearing a favorite song. Over weeks, your brain literally rewires itself to notice more of these joys automatically. That's not spirituality, it's neuroplasticity in action. The point is simple but powerful: happiness doesn't live in the big wins. It hides in the cracks, the pauses, the fleeting glances. You just have to be willing to notice them. Because one day, you'll realize those small moments were never small at all. The comeback story. Let me tell you about a man named Robert. In his late 60s, he had everything people dream about: a big house, 2 cars, and a retirement account that looked bulletproof. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. Almost overnight, he lost his savings, sold his house, and found himself renting a tiny apartment. Friends stopped calling. Even family members pulled back, as if his value had disappeared along with his money. 4 months, Robert spiraled. He avoided people, skipped community events, and convinced himself he was invisible. But then something unexpected happened. A neighbor, a single mom, knocked on his door to ask if he could help fix a broken chair. That simple request lit something inside him. He realized he still had skills, time, and worth that money couldn't define. Soon, Robert started helping more neighbors, small repairs, carrying groceries, even tutoring kids in math. Word spread, and suddenly, he wasn't the man who lost everything, he was the man everyone counted on. Over time, his social circle grew richer than his old bank account had ever been. He even started a small community workshop, teaching carpentry to kids who had never held a hammer before. Here's the twist: Robert admitted later that losing his money was the best thing that ever happened to him. Without it, he discovered who was real. The people who stuck around weren't impressed by his wallet, they were grateful for his heart, his humor, and his willingness to show up. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. When crisis strips away illusions, you're forced to rebuild on a foundation that's far sturdier: relationships, purpose, and contribution. And science agrees. Seniors who volunteer or help others report higher life satisfaction and even longer lifespans compared to those who isolate in grief. Robert's story isn't rare. It's proof that even when the bank balance crashes, your worth doesn't. Sometimes, it takes losing everything to realize you never lost yourself. The power of connection. Picture your life as a bank account. Every conversation, every shared laugh, every comforting touch is like a deposit. Unlike dollars, these deposits never lose value, they compound. By the time you reach 70 or 80, the balance of your relationships is the true measure of your wealth. Science agrees. A 2016 Canadian longitudinal study found that seniors with strong social networks had a 50% lower risk of cognitive decline. That's right, friendship doesn't just warm the heart, it literally keeps the brain sharper. Loneliness, on the other hand, is now considered as dangerous to health as obesity or smoking. So when you invest in people, you're not just buying joy, you're buying years of life. Think about community. Maybe it's your church group, a book club, or the neighbor who always waves when you pick up the mail. These connections are your emotional pension plan. They protect you in ways money never will. If you've ever had soup delivered when you were sick or someone shovel your driveway after a snowstorm, you know exactly what I mean. The irony? We often spend decades stacking up financial savings, but we neglect to deposit in our social account. Then we wonder why retirement feels empty. The truth is, the people who show up without being asked are worth more than any inheritance you'll ever pass down. And here's the punchline: even if you feel behind in this kind of saving, it's never too late to start. One phone call. One invitation. One thank you note. Each one is a deposit. And unlike your wallet, the more you give, the richer you become, because in the end, money tells people what you had, but connection tells people who you are. Simple actions. Here's the secret your brain doesn't want you to know: you don't need a fortune to feel fulfilled. You need habits that sprinkle joy into your day, the same way a pinch of salt transforms a meal. Small, deliberate actions, done consistently, can change everything. Start with presence. Put down the phone when someone talks to you. Neuroscientists say eye contact boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which makes both people feel more connected. Want a stronger family bond? Don't buy another gadget, just look your loved one in the eye when they speak. Another action: give before you're asked. Write a thank you note to a friend. Call your sibling just to check in. Studies show acts of kindness release serotonin in your brain, the same chemical many antidepressants target. In other words, Generosity is medicine, and it's free, and don't underestimate ritual. Something as simple as a daily walk with a neighbor, or sharing coffee at the same time each morning, wires your brain with predictability and comfort. These rhythms create a sense of belonging that no financial portfolio can match. Even laughter, yes, laughing at a silly TV show or swapping jokes, lowers blood pressure and boosts immunity. Researchers in Montreal proved that regular laughter therapy improved mood in seniors more effectively than expensive supplements. Who knew giggles could be ginseng? So here's your challenge: instead of chasing big, expensive solutions, try 3 small things today: listen fully, give freely, laugh often. They may look ordinary, but they stack up like compound interest in your happiness account, because when the curtain falls, no one will remember the size of your wallet. They'll remember the size of your presence in their lives. The heartfelt ending. At the end of the day, happiness was never tucked inside your wallet, it was always sitting across the table, holding your hand, or calling your name when you felt invisible. Money pays the bills, but it doesn't hold you when you cry. Wealth can buy attention, but it cannot buy devotion. What endures, what truly stays, are the people who choose you even when you have nothing left to give. Think about it: when your final chapter is written, will anyone remember your bank balance? Or will they remember the way you made them laugh, the stories you told, the love you gave freely? Life has a way of stripping us down to essentials, and by then, the only currency that counts is love, kindness, and presence. So here's the truth that stings a little but heals a lot: those who stay are not impressed by your wealth, they are moved by your warmth. And if you're still breathing, you have time to build more of that. Call someone today. Forgive someone today. Say I love you today. Because in the end, what's left isn't money, it's memory, and the people who carry it with them.